I really believe my responsibility, even in combat, was I needed to be calm. I needed to create calm with my folks. And the last thing we want to do as leaders is to create more chaos. So I really feel like, in building that bridge, it was so important that I led myself first. And I tell everybody, leadership is a choice. You're either choosing to do it or not to do it. And so I think you all are deciding that you're going to choose to lead, because you wouldn't be on a Friday morning joining us if you didn't think this was important. And in choosing to lead, the first person you have to lead is yourself, because everybody's going to figure it out. If you're demanding that of them, but you're not demanding it of yourself, it doesn't work. It's not very effective. It helped me see my soldiers who needed help, because when someone falls out of a formation, they have something going on in their life, either physically or mentally or spiritually. They have something going on in their life. So I always chose that soldier to run with. I'd pull back and I'd run next to them. It all starts with leading yourself. And the last thing I would always tell them, but don't fall out of formation. Don't set yourself up for failure, set yourself up for success. And so for me, part of setting myself up for success on a daily basis, just as a person, was understanding that discipline is so important. It is my number one value. I believe all of us should know, what are your top 5 values that guide and direct and lead you. For me, I say discipline, and I think most of you would translate that as self-discipline, right? I don't mean discipline like correct people or punish people. I mean discipline in terms of I could not be a person of integrity if I didn't have discipline. It takes discipline to be a person of integrity. It takes discipline to be a person who does their work on time and shows up to a meeting on time and tracks their own personal battle rhythm, so they know when to be with family and when to work hard at work and how to take care of yourself physically. And so I believe that it's all about character and competence. It's about leading with your heart and your mind, right? That emotional intelligence and intellect. And I do believe that it's an art and a science, right? We have to practice both. There's a lot of science to leadership, but you're not just born a leader. People go, you got the gene. Isn't that nice? You were born a leader. I said, that's a cop out for you not leading yourself. Because let me tell you what, I have had to learn a lot about leadership in order to grow as a leader. But I also believe struggle is good. And the reason why I believe struggle is good is because if you are struggling between your heart and your mind on how to lead or what decision to make, promote someone or don't promote someone, punish someone or don't punish someone, if you're using both and you're struggling between them, the good news is you're using both. I worked for some bosses who were incredibly intellectual, but they didn't care with their heart. But they were brilliant. And they were hard people to work for, because when you don't care about your people know that, and they don't want to stay. It ruined it. I do a lot with companies on retention. You want retention, you got to care about your people. So you need both. And if I can only have one, I'll choose character first, because I can help you on the competence side. But character is something you've really got to work on. And I think a lot of this is all about attitude. It's really all about how we respond to situations and respond to people. I hear people say, well, I can't help it. I don't control that. Let me just help you out. You really control nothing in this world except your attitude. I mean, you don't control what goes right, what goes wrong, what happens to you today or doesn't happen to you today, but you control the response to anything that comes into your life. And if that's the one thing I get to control, then I decide I'm going to decide. Then I want to respond the best that I can. I want to be the best that I can be. So we have to also remember, sometimes we have people around us that are challenging. We have situations that are challenging. We have people that are challenging. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Give credit where credit's due. There's goodness in everybody. There is potential in everybody. Granted, it is a little harder to get out of some people, but it is possible. And then just have a good to great mentality. I mean, I really wanted to enforce that with my soldiers on the battlefield. We need to be encouragers. Leaders, that's what they do. They encourage. we have to recognize people. We have to recognize the right people. And there's a lot of different ways to do it other than just promotions and pay benefits. But it's a mentality to say, I'm good, or our organization is good, but let's shift that to great. Because if you've ever read Jim Collins' book, the enemy of great is good. And too many people say, well, our government's good enough. Our school is good enough. My family's good enough. My church is good enough. You get the idea. If you accept good, you will never experience great. At the end of the day, I think the only way to emerge from these situations is leadership. If you go back to the premise of everybody has at least one person to lead, and that's yourself, we can make this happen. We can get through anything, but it starts with me first. But I do believe that leadership in the end isn't about me being successful. Leadership in the end is defining your success by how you make other people successful. It is leaving a legacy. People will say, what was your greatest accomplishment in the military? And I know they're expecting me to say something like, first at this, or some award, or some, and it's not. The greatest accomplishment for me was leaving a legacy. And I can't even tell you like how wonderful that is. I'm going to be going to a change of command in May between two generals. Those two generals were captains for me, company commanders for me, and they're switching command between each other. I am like a proud mama here, right? Because I know that they're part of my legacy. I know that I'm part of their journey, and that part of their leadership has been because of us helping each other and growing together. And so, and I really truly believe it's much more than success. It's shifting from success to significance. In other words, it's not just about getting the mission done. It's about when you use your success for others, that's about significance.